Hello guys and welcome back. We are in somewhere really special and it's quite unique. Let me tell you about it. So what I'm about to say, I really need you to listen to before you hear those first few words and then switch off, because it's just another video trying to entice you in with very slim connections to the topic in hand. So I'm going to get straight to it and say I am actually in a temperate rainforest. That's right, here in the UK, in Cornwall, I am in a temperate rainforest. It's quite a rare phenomena, and it's, if you have a look on the map where these rainforests exist, it's very, very small pockets throughout the globe. And indeed within the areas that we live here in the UK. They're sometimes called the Atlantic forests, the Celtic forests, or as they are really known by professionals and biologists and people working in this particular field of environmental studies, it is known as a temperate rainforest. Now, they pretty much rely on a lot of the weather systems coming off the Atlantic to stop these forests getting too cold, too hot, and provide them with enough rain so that everything in here is like it's on steroids. Even some of the other forests that I frequent further down in the valleys away from this like microclimate, they don't have this mass, explosion of green. I mean, they're beautiful in their own right, but these temperate rainforests are like they're on steroids. Everything is greener, lusher, damper, wet. The oak trees here that are protected by the high ground, which you would have seen earlier, they get to grow to their full magnificent height, unlike up on the high ground where they're stunted due to the wind. As that all rolls off the top of the high ground, these sheltered dips and valleys, they hold beautiful, beautiful little microclimates where these rainforests can exist. Now these trees here at the moment, they really stand out due to this real vibrant orangey red colour, and you can spot them a mile off through the canopy. So an indicator you're in a temperate rainforest is location and the microclimate, and not only that, the vegetation and what you can see around you. You have literally hundreds of species of lichen, old man's beard there, a carpet of moss on these branches. The forest floor is alive. There's funguses of multiple species, ferns everywhere, and they're still green and lush, where some parts of further down in the valley, they're already going a little bit brown. Now the trees themselves, they're covered, absolutely covered in a carpet, thick luscious carpet of this moss, and it's so damp and wet, you put your hand on it, you could almost push water out. There's a little slug there of some description making its way up the trunk, but on top of that, these trees support multiple other variants of plant life on their outer structures, as in living on the outer parts of the tree. It's got its own almost like its own biosphere on the tree. Now, when I've been camping in other places, well, wild camping, I've used the terminology of it having that oldie world feel, and it certainly does that. But in reality, the real name, as I've been saying, is a temperate rainforest. But to me, I think I'm just going to use easier, rolls off the tongue just saying oldie world feel. But yeah, absolutely beautiful, and I'm very privileged that I have this pretty much on my doorstep. It is that time of year now where by 8 o'clock, particularly if you're under a canopy of leaves, it's going to be getting pretty dark. I've set myself up. I've just got a very, very simple thrown together tarp set up where it's just going straight over a ridge line. There's some creases and that in it. I'm not worried. There could possibly be rain, but what I've got there will keep me dry tonight. After all, it's only an overnighter. And I've pretty much set myself up here. There is houses about a quarter of a mile away across the valley there. And they're in their gardens. I can hear them. But, you know, I'm not going to be having any fires. I'm going to observe light discipline and noise discipline. So I should be all right. I think I've heard dog walkers at the very bottom of the actual wood line here. But yet again, I don't think they're going to push up through here. So I think I've got this all to myself tonight. So here's camp, and this is what I'm going to cook on. This little bit of a stone here. I don't have to worry about the moss underneath, and I'm not going to scrape it off. Quite simply because it's at least a good 8 inches above it. And it's got like that little windshield, which is a bit of a spark arrestor as well. This is where I'll cook and do all my admin. That's my shelter. You can see I've got some creases. I might sort that out later on. At the minute, I just wanted to get it up just in case we had rain. And I'm just using this tree as a handy little backstop. But this is where I'm staying. And it's going to be a pretty epic night, I think. I'm going to get myself a cup of coffee on the go now, get that done, and then I'm going to cook up tea. And in the spirit of this channel, it's going to be a budget curry. But yeah, the only bladed item I've got is a trusty grandfather's pocket knife and a lighter. So let's get this coffee going. Right, so I've got my water boiling for coffee. So what delights do I have? I've raided the kids packed lunch drawer, although they haven't been to school. It's obviously summer holidays. These are just leftovers. They're still within date. They feel a bit snapped in the middle, but I'll still eat those. I've got porridge for the morning. If I feel hungry, a chocky bar, a tin of curry, and some noodles. So how's this going to work? Basically, I've got a tin of the very budget chickened curry, and I'm interested to taste to see what this tastes like. I could have had it with rice. I could have easily boiled up some rice. But I've chose just to go into the cupboard drawers and get these noodles. Yet again, they're budget ones from Tesco's. So this total meal here probably cost me less than £1.50 at a guess. You know, and it's going to be super filling. A solid full can and these noodles. Possibly really enough to do 2 people. But hey, you know, I'm not 14 stone for nothing. So I shall eat that. So how it's going to work is I'm going to just boil up my noodles and then just tip this in, warm it through, stir it all up, and I'll have a chicken curry noodle dish. Hey, it'll work, or I'm hoping it will work, because I don't really want to have to walk home to go and get something else. But let's get this coffee going. Seems to be taking a little bit longer than normal. Not sure why. There's no wind and it's not cold. Mind you, that could just be my memory as I'm getting older, because it's been about 2 weeks, I think, since I last went out. I can hear it making that noise. It's beginning to rock on the actual stand. That's when the water's just starting to boil. Right, my noodles are there doing now. You can see it's getting hot. Need to stir them around a bit if they'll break down. Still got a little bit yet to go. I'll have my coffee first. Let's go for a little walk. So, if you have watched any of my videos in regard to wild camping or being out and about, you're probably thinking this guy is always doing it on a shoestring and a budget. Well, the short, simple answer to that is I either do it on a shoestring or a budget, or I don't do it at all. I've got a young family, and I've got a modest income. So, you know, this is me, and this is how I go about getting my outdoor fix. The only thing I would like to say, if you're watching this and, you know, you've got all the top-notch stuff, I actually applaud you, and, you know, there's nothing wrong in that. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. And at some point, someday, maybe that'll be me as well. But as it is, at the moment, I'll just always have to, you know, carry on doing it with the equipment I got and the limited resources. Now, the only thing I'll say to add to that is, if you are watching this and you too are in the same position as me, that you don't have, you know, massive great funds, or funds that you can fund it to what you may see presented to you on some of the other wild camping or bushcrafting channels, hey, just come along, do exactly what I do. Cheap, simple equipment, get your outdoors fix, know the limitations to that equipment, know your limitations working with that equipment and where you're doing your outdoor activity, and you too will get plenty of fun and, you know, get to some fantastic locations like this as well and spend a night here. I don't have the equipment to spend, you know, weeks out in the bush, as they would say, but for an overnighter, what I've got will suffice. So just to help the noodles along, I'm just putting the top on like that. What I could have done is basically inverted it, but I don't want to get it too dirty. I don't mind a bit of steam on the bottom of the actual pan I can wipe off, and that's holding enough heat in there to help it boil. But it won't be long before we add this and take our first look inside this cairn. Well, that's the noodles, you know, raging hot, and just on their own, if you didn't want to even go to the trouble of adding the curry, God, they're hot. Glasses are steamed up as well. They are quite nice. Obviously, they don't taste like the main brand ones you can get, but camping, that's still nice. So let's open this curry and take our first look at it. Smells like a curry. I'll let you have a look inside the can. There you go. So let's see what it comes out like. It is vegetables as well, so yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stir all that in and just heat it up. That is definitely too much for one person. Yeah, I'm going to stir that up, gently heat it, and then I'm going to sample it. So let's taste it. It's heated right the way through. I've had a little taste in and out when I've been stirring it, but that's never the same as when you've got the finished article. Right. There is quite a lot of different vegetables by looks of it in here, like carrots, I'm guessing potatoes, turnips or something like that. So basically, yeah, I can taste the curry. To be honest with you, it tastes like one of those cheap roadside calf knocked up curries that's been sitting on a hob for a few hours. Perfectly serviceable if you're hungry. You wouldn't want to eat this if you presented it in a restaurant, but you know, what I've just made there would definitely feed 2 people. This mess tin is completely full. There's no way I can eat it all. That was being a little bit stupid on my part. But yeah, if you're out with 2 people, you could get a good hearty meal. And even though I'm not, you know, celebrating this concoction, you might think, it is eatable and I'm actually enjoying it. I'm hungry. So yeah, this will keep you warm, keep you going. It's satisfying, but by no means you wouldn't want Gordon Ramsay to present you with this. Yeah, let's just go for another little walk. I'm keeping my voice down a little bit more than I did earlier because it's just gone completely dead still and quiet. There's not a breath of wind. All the farm dogs have all basically been told to shut up, or they have shut up on their own accord. And I can't hear nobody in their gardens. It's just at that point before, you know, that light starts to dim. Everybody's probably settling down for the evening. And yeah, I'm looking up on that tour and it's absolutely fantastic. I actually walk up there quite often and I'll sit up there and have a little think about things. But I'll give you another little look. It can't hurt. It's quite easy if you come up around the back side. That angle we're looking at it. It would be a little bit silly to try and scrabble up there if you weren't an accustomed boulderer or a rock climber. But in any case, let's walk down here. It's got a really nice feel in this. I was going to say wood then. I'll use the word forest. And over there is another tour. And I go up there quite regularly as well. As you can see, I'm sat in almost like in between, a little valley in between these 2 tours. Let's make our way down through here. I didn't bring a head torch with me. There is plenty of light at the moment, but it's going to disappear soon. I did find an apple tree here, or just not too far down the road from here. And it got me thinking, because the apple tree looked really old. It was probably chucked, an apple core was chucked away by a miner or an agricultural labourer. And from there it grew. The tree looks really ancient. I might see if I can find it tomorrow morning. Let's push through here. Well, I'm down at basically an old trackway or a water runoff system for the mining activity from this area, you know, 100, 200 years ago, possibly 3. But in any case, this place is littered with all the mining activity. You know, you can't really go no more than, you know, 50 meters before you come across some evidence of man being up here. But I'm going to make my way back now. I've had a little explore and I'm going to settle down. As you can see, the sun is beginning to disappear over the yard arm. So I'm think I'm probably going to get an early night, to be honest with you. The midges have just started coming around, and it's the first time this year I've really felt a quantity of them. But it's probably due to the fact everything's so damp in here, and it's a right ecosystem and they're just part of it. But yeah, I've been here thinking about, you know, woodlands and things like that, and what it would be like to actually own something like this for your own personal use. Well, I'm 53. I've worked all my life, factory work, done a bit of mechanics, a bit of everything, you know, well, 12 years in the army as well on top of it. And yeah, I actually think to myself, what was it all for? I've paid off my mortgage, and my mortgage is gone, but I only have like an ex-local authority house I purchased, and there's no way at 53 I'm going to take a mortgage out to try and buy a piece of woodland. I want to start breaking free from financial commitments, and on top of that, they probably wouldn't lend me the money with my limited income and the amount of years I could obviously borrow from. But you have to then think, why are so many people my age and so many like people in similar situations as me reaching this point in their life? They want to come away into the woods and just chuck a bivvy up or a tent and just spend, you know, one evening overnighter doing this. And my conclusion is because so many of us realise we'll work all our life to just get by and do what we're supposed to do, what we're told to do. We'll never achieve, you know, those mansions and rolling, you know, gardens and with stables and woodlands on the back, like, you know, for us to play around and do this. So we either come out and do it like this, or we don't do it. And I think that's half the reason a lot of people my age, or, you know, similar circumstances, you know, are actually doing all this. And to be honest with you, it is the next best thing. If you can't own it, this is the next best way to do it. Yeah, and I'm glad I do it. And, you know, it's in the memories after all. Even if you own the land, and I've got nothing against people owning land, because I believe that's part of our cornerstone of democracy, being able to own things. But if I personally can't own it because I'll never have the wealth, if I can come to a quiet, secluded, you know, bit of ground out the way, nobody knows I'm here, nobody knows what I'm doing, you know, what does it really matter to anybody? I'll leave this here in the same condition I came here, but yet I get to experience a bit of nature and just the sheer beauty of seeing this and being around it. And yet probably the person who may own it will never experience it in the way I do. Strange, isn't it? But that's life. Well, there goes the last bits of sun, or daylight. Time for me to call it a day. I'm going to get an early one. Right, I've crawled into my sleeping bag and I'm in under my tarp now. And yeah, it's nice and warm, and it's nice when I turn the lights off because all the bugs stop being around you. So yeah, I've got a busy day tomorrow. So I've seen Last Light, and that was really beautiful, and I really enjoyed that. Just sat there and thought about things, and like you do, and I'm looking forward to the morning and seeing the sunrise and seeing the day come in. So yeah, I'm going to get an early night, so that actually happens. I don't actually sleep in. So I'll catch you guys in the morning. Well, this morning the temperature dropped off really noticeable. You know, that's a phenomena that I'm, you know, fully aware and used to, but from about 4:30 in the morning, it really plummeted that fast. I had a little bit of a shiver, and an odd little bit of draft that was coming in. Definitely noticeable change in the air. I mean, I know we're at the tail end of summer, but you could definitely feel it wasn't like one of those camps you could have just literally lay on the floor outside on a summer's evening and woke up in the morning, dust off a little bit of dew and then carry on with the day. But yeah, very nice, very nice camp that was. And I did actually get a fair bit of sleep. I'm not the best sleeper in these conditions, never have been, never will be. So if I get, you know, about 4 hours sleep, solid sleep when I'm outside, that's good. Rest of it is like kind of a restful, fitful sleep where you're tossing, turning, you kind of open an eye, drift back off, come back around. But yeah, to get a solid like 4 hours bang where you're out like a light, I must have been knackered. Let you have a look up here. So there was a lot of movement outside the actual tarp, and I think it was actually badgers, not foxes. It was just kind of like too heavier movement. A fox is more fleeter outside. It's more of a pitter-patter when they're walking. So I think it was badgers, but I was quite conscious of the fact that there is grazing cattle and sheep and livestock, you know, in these woods and around the woods. So I'm always conscious. If I do hear anything, I'm fully alert, because last thing you want to be doing is get trampled on by a load of cows aimlessly walking around at night. If you've ever been outside, cows will actually just walk around eating as like it's daytime. Sometimes you'll hear this noise, you'll investigate and find out, and there'll be a cow or a bullock there just munching in the darkness. Why they, you know, how they see anything, I don't know, but they will do that. So you've got to be aware of that. The moon is still quite bright there. I think it was a full moon, or near enough a full moon last night. I'm not sure, but hell of a lot of light was coming off it. When the clouds went over and when it was completely out of the cover of the trees, shining down on me, it illuminated completely inside the tarp. Somebody's cockcrow over the other side of the valley is really going for it. This is a really nice place to wake up to. Now I'm peering through a gap and I'm looking down into the valleys, and you'll see a very white fog bank, and that's pretty much the Tamar Valley, which separates Cornwall from Devon. And that darker band above it is Dartmoor. And obviously we've got a pretty strong sunrise there this morning. I'm on maximum zoom here just to give you a little bit of a perspective on where I'm at. And if you look down through those trees, you'll see the valley at the bottom of this high ground. You see that white band there? That's actually a fog bank sitting in the Tamar Valley. Now that separates Cornwall from Devon, or England then. And above that, that dark band before you get to the sunrise there, that's Dartmoor. And you can just see one of the high tors over there. So I'm on one tor basically, looking straight across all the valleys, straight onto Dartmoor. There's something quite interesting over here actually by camp, and I'll let you have a look. I'm going to be packing up in a minute. I've had my coffee, I've had my breakfast bars. I didn't have porridge, I just had my cereal bars. I'm not the first person that's ever had this idea in this location. There's a fire pit there, but with all the mulch, grass, and basically it being taken over, it's a couple years old at least, and obviously it's got moss, so it hasn't seen no fire for a long time. But I'm going to get this down and start getting out of here. Now I've just noticed there is a fog bank just coming off the high ground. It's starting to roll down into this valley here as well. There's definitely temperature changes happening here. I decided to stay and have another cup of coffee, and yeah, I'm glad I did. I'm soaking it in because I don't know when I possibly will get out. It's not a given that I can just get out, even though this is all on my doorstep. You know, the kids are nearly back to school, so I can't kick the ass out of it either. I do need to get home, and I'll get them down the coast, let them have a splash in the water, because it's turning out to be a glorious day, and I hope it stays that way. It'd be nice for them to finish their school holidays with a little bit of sun, because pretty much this summer's been, you know, a washout here in the UK, as most of you will probably know. But I was just crawling into my bivvy, and I was really struggling. My knee was absolutely hurting, my ankle, my big toe. It's the onset of arthritis, or arthritis. So I was trying to think, did I have any painkillers? I usually pack a little strip, but no, I can't find them, so I'm having to live without them. So it's quite funny in the morning. Jamie, my wife, and that she's had 2 artificial hips, so, and she needs a new knee due to her ongoing condition, and yeah, there's this competition some mornings, who's got it worse. Obviously I lose out due to the fact that she can trump me, that she's got more metalwork than you know, a scaffolder would use, and she sets off all the airport security whenever we go through, when we go abroad. So me, I just get told, you don't know what it's really like to have aches and pains. So yeah, I just live with it and get on with it, and yeah, I just wish I'd done a little bit more of this when I was a bit younger and I didn't have all these conditions, because like I say, at the moment it's a case of, you know, just living with it. Yeah, if you're younger, you need to get out and get things done, because, you know, once you hit your 50s, you start getting inflicted with ailments. And from here on in, it's a case that you're going downhill, and it's managing that speed in which you go downhill. Right, I'll finish this and then I will get packed up. Well, I'm all packed up, leave no trace and all that. Just a little bit of a pressure point where I was sleeping. But that grass will spring back. And I'm out of here, I'm done. But yeah, thanks for coming along. This has been thoroughly enjoyable. It's got that little feel to it as well, that, you know, something's changed. And obviously summer's coming to a close slowly. But you can feel it. It's there, it's happening now. But yeah, a temperate rainforest in the UK. Who would have thought it? I don't suppose too many people know about it. But go online, look it up. It's true, it's here, and we have the privilege of having some of it in our country. So, and where I live in Cornwall, there's quite a bit of it. So I'm totally privileged, and it's been an honour to show you guys a temperate rainforest. I'll probably still refer to it as oldie worldy woodlands, but hey, That's just my ignorance. It's actually a temperate rainforest. So I'm going to make my move. So take care, stay safe, and I hope to catch you guys out on the trail.